and welcome back to AWS On Air. We are here on the New York City Summit floor of the Expo Hall. There's a lot going on around us, but even more exciting, there's a lot going on at this desk today. My name is Gigi Behringer. I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a senior product manager here at AWS, and I'm joined by one of my favorite people to host with. Adrian, do you want to introduce yourself again?
Sure. Hey everyone. For those joining us, my name is Adrian San Miguel. I'm a principal partner enterprise architect here at AWS. Spent a lot of time working with Gigi and our fellow hosts and speaking with our favorite guests coming from the service team. Now, I understand we are going to be talking about something that just launched. Would love for you to introduce yourself. Let us know what we're going to be talking about and why you prefer dogs over cats, if applicable.
Not if applicable.
And if not applicable, let's just flip it around.
You can go if not.
It's definitely dogs for me. More lovable.
All right, we're done here. Thank you.
Good.
I know. Well, hi. Thanks for having me. So my name is Sanjit. I'm one of the senior product managers on the AWS in-memory database team.
Cool.
So today we actually launched vector search for Amazon MemoryDB. So huge launch. We launched it in preview at reInvent last year, and now it's generally available for customers to actually play with.
Amazing. So you've had a really relaxing launch day, I assume.
Yeah, just a little bit of sprinting back and forth, you know.
It's all good, as always.
You got to burn off the stress as you do those wind sprints, right?
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
It's good for you. It's good for you.
Especially in this New York weather.
Yes. So you launched today. You went preview at reInvent last winter. Could you tell us a little bit about what it is that we are getting from this GA launch today?
Yeah, so at GA, we've done a lot of benchmarking on the solution through the course of several months. And with this generally available version of vector search for MemoryDB, it's it is the fastest vector search option on AWS compared to many popular vector database options on AWS. So it's as a lot of people know, generative AI has picked up a lot of steam in the past year plus, and I'm sure we've talked about it on air for quite the part of the day.
Yes.
And one of the common use cases that we've really heard of is, like retrieval augmented generation and chatbots. So we're going to talk today a little bit deeper dive on how MemoryDB can fit into that type of workflow and really speed up things from, a few seconds to milliseconds. So it's going to be a really cool
Very
demo.
cool.
Yeah.
It immediately, when I read about the launch, it kind of struck me as weird because I wouldn't immediately think MemoryDB or an in-grid memory database would be something that I would associate with the vector store, or even more specifically, being able to cut that latency down. I know it's fast, but to go from seconds to milliseconds or even better, that's huge.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think the demo that we'll kind of go through is how to actually use it as a durable semantic cache. So basically thinking about the ways that you can actually integrate it with large language models so that when you have a lot of common repeated questions, you're not constantly hitting that large language model and actually incurring that fee, that latency cost, that overhead, and then you're able to retrieve and return back an answer for very commonly asked questions within those millisecond latencies.
That's very cool. It sounds like we're saving customers money, time, and energy with that.
Exactly.
That opportunity.
Exactly.
I do love, and I say this I think every time I'm at this desk at any summit or reInvent, I love how the launch really embodies our, how can we make things easier for customers? How can we make it more productive on the technology side? And then how can we save them money?
Yeah.
And all of those pieces are built into this type of release. And it's just really exciting to see the consistency there.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Thinking about a lot of the customers I personally speak to, a lot of these chatbots are really in those POC phases. They're really starting to scale them out. And those considerations around cost and how to actually deploy it to millions of users is something that's really coming into the forefront of a lot of people's thoughts now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think you have a bit of information to share with us on slides, just to run us through some of the technical specs. And then I did hear that you also have a live demo.
Yep.
And everything is live, as always, here. So very excited to see both pieces to that.
So I'll kind of walk through generally what we're going to go through, and then I'll go through the live demo, and I'll ask you to ask me questions, and we'll actually put it in there and have some fun.
All right.
So
we'll do it live.
Yeah, exactly. So so basically the demo I'm going to walk through, I've already executed a Terraform plan just because that will take probably 15, 20 minutes to actually get all the info ready. So I created a there's an API gateway linked to a Lambda function that's basically acting as an orchestration layer. So what it's doing is essentially, we're using Bedrock knowledge bases and an OpenSearch serverless vector store. And in this demo, we basically created these vector embeddings, loaded this knowledge base from the well-architected framework PDF, chunked it out into a bunch of pieces of information. So now we have that retrieval augmented generation platform, so basically getting that context from those vector stores through Bedrock. And we've integrated MemoryDB as a durable semantic cache. So basically the idea of the demo, and like what I noted, is that we're going to ask a question about a well-architected framework, and then you'll see how we have X-ray, we have a few X-ray measures throughout the Python script so that we'll be able to time each individual step. Cool. So the first time we'll ask a question, and we'll see how fast it goes, and hint, it'll be a little slow. And then the second time we'll actually have that data cached into MemoryDB, and then the subsequent question will mess with it a little bit, and it'll be very similar in terms of semantic meaning, and then it'll come from MemoryDB, and we'll see actually the latencies that we'll observe.
Interesting.
So, very cool.
Cool. So
I'm curious what questions you're going to come up with, Adrian.
I've got a couple. I know my buddy Travis is watching right now, and I know you're probably getting ready to text me, so I'll get ready to answer you later, but I'm pretty sure this is what you've been bugging me about. I don't know, the last 6 or 8 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, so first I'll kind of just walk through maybe just when we get out of this PowerPoint presentation.
I think we're ready for the live. There we go.
There we are.
Perfect.
So basically, I'm just going to walk through the Python script, which is
go full screen, please. There we go.
Help my eyes out a little bit.
Yeah, so this Lambda function, as you can kind of see, we have the X-ray recorder in there to basically take out each individual segment from generating the embedding for the question that Adrian's going to ask, down to actually looking if the data was actually stored within MemoryDB. If it wasn't there, then we'll basically step through and get the answer from the large language model, which in this case is Claude.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of store all the latency metrics within X-ray, which is a great debugging tool, as everyone knows. So let's go to the terminal, and I will increase the size for everyone's eyes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So
greatly appreciated.
So I will let you ask a question, Adrian, and we'll just make this API call of the well-architected framework. So you tell me.
My favorite question. Do I need to go multi-region?
Ooh, always. Unless it's expensive.
Unless your use case doesn't dictate it. Exactly.
Unless what is it?
Unless you, do I need to go multi-region?
I would just leave it at.
Yeah, probably just
keep it simple for now.
Yeah, and then we can start going with it.
Mess around. Put in the chat, since we are live, we want to see in the chat if you have any opinions on what we should be asking.
Yeah.
Right, let's see. I will execute that script.
Okay.
So I have it all saved here. So you said
pillar. Yeah. Okay.
You get this. Right. Do I need
It's good proof that we are always live on AWS OnAir, and especially live during summits.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
Look, it's thinking.
It's doing something.
It's thinking.
It's about to yell at me, I promise.
Yeah, I'll jump out the screen and just go at you.
I'm curious what it says.
I don't know. Well, that's why we're doing this live.
That is we're doing this live.
That's exactly what it's supposed to say.
Good.
Okay.
As it should.
Okay, now let's have some fun, and then we'll modify the thing. We're trying to get it to be essentially the same semantic meaning. So maybe do I really need to go? I don't know, something like that. Same meaning, same semantic meaning, and all that good stuff. So let's see what happens. Oh, look.
Immediately.
So, immediately.
Wow.
So let's actually.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. You can kind of see the total time. It actually took 455 milliseconds versus the initial call of 12 seconds, which is pretty sweet, actually. At least I think so.
I think so, too.
No, absolutely.
I think you're deeper in this than the rest of us, but we also think it's cool.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, this would be fantastic to even just to put in the hands of a seller in this specific demo. I'm thinking, I'm noodling in a partner scenario where seller needs to go through an approach and figure out game plan. How do I work this prospect? How do I engage with this customer? And start asking these questions. They may not have an essay. They may not have access to an essay.
Right.
go ahead and start better educating yourself, arm yourself with those data points, and go have an eloquent conversation.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. Like, I've had a few customer conversations, like, thinking about customers that are basically doing this with like product manuals, and customers are asking the same question. Imagine like IKEA furniture.
Oh yeah.
Just like painful.
Yeah.
But everyone has the same questions, like, do I need my own wrenches or anything to do this? And do you really want to hit the LLM like 100,000 times? Probably not.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's the same answer.
It does add that level of flexibility to your customer interactions.
Yeah.
I'm curious when we look at, right, it seems so, I guess, obvious when we look at the AWS well-architected documentation and say, like, okay, we could only ask this question really so many times in so many ways. What would you say are use cases you're seeing from customers where it's really pushing the boundaries of the benefits here with either like very large LLMs or complex, question bases that are coming into customers that you're excited about?
So the durable semantic caching. Actually, I've seen quite a few use cases in terms of, instead of just caching just the text, people are caching the actual API calls and parameterizing the inputs so that you're able to say, example about let's take a sporting company or one of these large like NBA or NFL or those types of places. Like a lot of customers will, a lot of fans of like myself, will ask questions around, how many points did LeBron James score last week, and think about parameterizing the name, the timeline, and then the actual API calls, so that subsequent questions around how many points did Ant score during the NBA Finals, and you're able to parameterize and add that in and cache the API call. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of cool things that are happening. So let's.
That is cool. Is that something that you're seeing customers come up with on their own, or do we have blog posts and documentation that show all these different use cases?
So we will actually be publishing a blog post very shortly, in the next 2 weeks, that will actually have all this code, the Terraform script, and everything. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So it'll be available for customers to really get into it and actually play around with it. So
very cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So here I have the actual X-ray scripts here. Huh. So we can actually take a look at. Let's start with the first one. This is the first question that we asked and how long it took. So you can actually see the initialization was about 2 seconds. The invocation was overall 8.3 seconds to basically create the embedding for your question. And then it took about 7 seconds for Bedrock to actually respond back because it was using that large language model. So you can see the end-to-end time for this whole thing was about 12 seconds.
Okay.
Got it.
And then when you look at the subsequent version where you've injected MemoryDB for very similar, the similar types of queries, you see the total duration of that whole process was about 320, roughly about 300, 400 milliseconds. And you can see that the cache query was about 13 milliseconds. So you can see that it dropped nearly, about 12 seconds in total time. So you can greatly imagine just the type of customer experience. Imagine you're on a user interface and you're asking these questions and you're just immediately getting a result versus your attention is lost oftentimes in 1 second or so. At least in the days nowadays where your phone just constantly buzzing. So it's very interesting.
Absolutely. I do. So when we go back to the way that you set this up, just to walk us through, right now we're looking at X-Ray, which you employed to track what was happening.
Correct.
But when it comes to actually utilizing the MemoryDB and use it,
MemoryDB.
Yeah, I didn't misspeak. I was like, wait a second, my brain froze. When it looks like, or we can go back to what it looks like to actually use that, could you just walk us through in console even, where those things are, how people can start exploring this launch today?
Yeah, so right now the launch is, let's see. So the launch is, this is there's the launch. Here we go.
Launch is on Google.
There we go.
Launch is on Google. So there's we released a launch blog just recently today, a few hours ago, that you can quickly see there's some getting started tips in terms of the functionality, in terms of what the use cases are, and actually how to actually get started within the console to create the MemoryDB cluster and actually enable it for vector search. So right now, when you create a new MemoryDB cluster, you have to enable vector search on the individual cluster because it's currently restricted to about single shard, so about 419 gigabytes, which you need to enable it because MemoryDB is much more scalable as a service generally to 500 nodes and able to handle hundreds of terabytes of data. And it is our fastest database on AWS. So you can go ahead and get started here. We've also released a driver for LangChain as well today, which will also. And also, you'll be able to get started with LangChain. So a lot of our customers are very familiar with LangChain. They're testing various vector stores, and we've actually loaded it. We actually have some Python code in this launch blog that's available for folks to get started very fast.
Well, that definitely helps.
Yeah. And we also have we can post in the chat here a GitHub repository with a lot of sample code on semantic searching, around fraud detection, and a lot of really cool use cases with MemoryDB where latency is really important.
So is it safe to say that, based off of everything we've heard, that MemoryDB has the best, potentially fastest vector search that we've got on AWS?
Yep. That's exactly what we've seen and tested. It's the fastest vector search option in terms of queries, in terms of update latencies, at the highest levels of recall. So, extremely relevant types of results that you're going to get. So a lot of, oftentimes with these vector search offerings, things like throughput, recall, and latency are often in tension. And you compromise on one, you compromise on the other. But what we've seen in MemoryDB and the vector search functionality is that we're able to maintain some of the highest throughput at the P99 single-digit millisecond latencies at greater than 95% recall, which is extremely
that's
extremely
unheard
wonderful.
of. That's unheard of. That's fantastic, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that bit of clarification. Earlier I made the example about the good, fast, and cheap triangle. It sounds like we're actually kind of making it more like a rectangle where we're removing, really trying to make it as fast as possible, keep that recall rate super high, and make it easier for folks to be able to deploy and feel confident about what's coming back to them. Is that about accurate?
Yeah, exactly. Having very relevant information returned back to you. It's like, configuring your MemoryDB cluster for very high recall and your types of questions that you asked by the well-architected framework, being able to return back things that are very similar and relevant to your question is incredibly important. So that high throughput, the low latency, and that high relevancy is extremely important.
I've got some evil scheming that's going on in my mind about what I'm going to use this for.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a ton of fun. I got some projects to go build.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again. So we have a blog post. We have a GitHub repo.
Yeah.
It's in the console if you want to go look at it, look at the pretty colors. And we also have, what else do we have that people can get their hands on to get going with this? There's going to be more content coming in 2 weeks.
There'll be much more content coming in 2 weeks and 4 weeks, and there'll be a lot of few YouTube videos. And I'm looking forward to kind of going in deep with this with various customers, and hopefully we'll have some blogs ready.
Fantastic. I am eager to see more use cases on this and to see some public use case references. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how people use this.
Absolutely.
I'd say so.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, it's been such a pleasure, as always. We are here with AWS On Air, and we will be back shortly with another segment with another product launch from today. So thank you again, and we'll see you guys soon.